Just like with any business, there's a lot that goes into starting a 501c3. Research, planning, fundraising, and so much more. Well, there's also the technical hurdles of starting a nonprofit that you got to get through. In this video, we're going to take a look at how you start a 501c3. I'm Greg McRae, founder and CEO of Foundation Group, and welcome once again to our 501c3 University channel. Today, I'm talking about how to start a nonprofit, specifically how to start a 501c3. Now, in our last video, we took a deep dive into exactly what a 501c3 is. Now the question is, how do you start one? Well, we've helped over 22,000 of them, so I think we're pretty good with that answer. So here we go. Wait, hang on. Before we get started, I want to encourage you to download our free ebook, 10 Things You Need to Know Before Starting a Nonprofit. Now, a lot of what I'm discussing in this video, it's covered in that ebook, plus a whole lot more. We're going to leave a link in the description below, so check that out. We're also going to leave a link to our hour-long in-depth webinar about starting a 501c3. Both are free and are great resources for you, so please check them out below. Okay, how do you start a 501c3? Well, let's first talk about your what and your why. What kind of nonprofit are you looking to start? What problem have you identified that needs addressing? Why are you and your idea the best way to meet that need? Don't overlook this part of the process. These are important questions that you must consider before tackling the technical steps of getting something off the ground. We see an awful lot of people who want to start a nonprofit, but they haven't really thought through their what and their why. Now, the fact is, you're just not going to get very far with this if you don't focus on these a great deal here at the beginning. So how do you like this for a section header? The how and the who of the what and the why. Now, that may be a great new book title, who knows? But what I'm talking about is this. If you've identified the what and the why, now you need to focus on the how and the who. How are you going to address the issues that you've identified need addressing? Who is going to help you do what you're going to do? Who's going to help you pay for it? This all sounds a little like a business plan, doesn't it? Well, that's really because it is. Before you file the first piece of paperwork, get that business plan sketched out. It's absolutely critical to your success, and you're going to need it when you apply for 501c3 status. All right, we're finally getting to the technical steps. So thanks for hanging with me while I gave my who, what, why, and how speech. I promise you're going to thank me later. Okay, step one involves legally establishing the nonprofit at the state level by setting up a nonprofit corporation. Now, there's other business entity types that can qualify for 501c3, including trusts, LLCs, and unincorporated associations, but over 90% of 501c3s are nonprofit, non-stock corporations, and there's a reason for that. Trusts have very specific use cases, and they don't work well for most charities. LLCs only work if pre-existing charities are starting a joint venture together. And finally, unincorporated associations, well, they're bad because they potentially expose key individuals to higher levels of legal risk. So stick with what nearly all 501c3s use, which is the nonprofit corporation. And at this stage, go ahead and grab an EIN or employer ID number from the IRS. You're going to need this for everything going forward, including setting up a bank account. Step number 2 is appointing your board of directors. Now, starting and operating a nonprofit, it just really isn't a solo exercise. You're going to need some help. And that help starts with your board of directors. It's also worth noting that some states will require you to have your board in place prior to incorporating. So for some of you, steps 1 and 2 may be reversed. Your board is your governing body of your new organization. Since nonprofits have no owners, let me pause here and let that sink in for a second. Since nonprofits have no owners, the board is the highest level of authority in your nonprofit. So choose your board members wisely because they will be governing right alongside you. The webinar that I mentioned earlier, the one that's linked below, it goes into more detail about your board, so be sure and check that out. Step number 3 is setting up your bylaws. Now, this is a big one. Your bylaws are a legal document that dictates how your board will govern your nonprofit. Also understand that your bylaws are legally binding, assuming they're compliant with state and federal law to begin with. It's so absolutely important to get this one right. We don't have time to park here in this discussion, but check out our recent video about bylaws. We're going to link that one in the description below too. Step number 4 is the one you've been waiting for, applying for 501c3 status with the IRS. This step is so much more complex than setting up your corporation. To obtain 501c3 status, a nonprofit must apply with the IRS by filing Form 1023 or 1023-EZ. Form 1023 itself is up to 28 pages long, and with the required attachments, schedules, and other materials that may be necessary, it's really not uncommon for these submissions to the IRS to be up to 100 pages or more. Remember all that talk about what and why and how and who? Well, that business plan we talked about at the beginning, Form 1023 is where it all gets laid out. Think of Form 1023 as an IRS examination. It's a thorough look at the organization's governing structure, purposes, and planned programs. And the IRS is also looking to make sure that the organization is formed for exclusively charitable purposes and not private benefit of any individuals. They're also going to be looking for conflict of interest or any other concerning activity that might compromise that charitable mission. Some smaller nonprofits, they're going to file Form 1023-EZ instead of Form 1023. Form 1023-EZ is for micro charities that expect under $50,000 in total revenue each year. It's much shorter and requires much less detail, but the IRS is still looking to verify charitable mission and programs. Assuming your plan meets all the qualifications, the IRS will issue a letter of determination. Conversely, in the event your plan doesn't make the grade, you'll receive a letter of adverse determination. That's not the one you want. Your letter of determination is your confirmation of 501c3 status. Congratulations, my friend. You are on your way to making a difference. Now let's talk about getting the professional assistance your nonprofit's going to need to get up and running. Now, I'm not shy. I'll put my cards right on the table. You need help with this process. There is a lot of moving parts to this, and the compliance rules at both the state and the federal level, they're very complex. You don't know what you don't know. We say that a lot around here. Your chances of success are so much higher if you get the assistance you need at the beginning. And to be specific, we believe tax professionals, like us, make the best advisors for startup nonprofits. There's plenty of document prep companies out there who can fill out forms for you, but they're not going to advise you on tax and compliance concerns. And frankly, that's the most important part of this. Our company, Foundation Group, has worked with over 22,000 startups since we opened our doors almost 27 years ago. We know what to do, and we know how to do it. Plus, we advise you properly. We are tax professionals. This is what we do. You can check out our services on our website, 501c3.org. As always, there's a link in the description below. The world needs nonprofits, especially charitable ones. And the very one you're thinking about starting, well, it may be the one that changes people's lives forever. So get your plan together and get to work making a difference. We'd be honored to help you with it. Well, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please be sure and click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the little bell icon to be notified of new content when we post it. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.